Welcome back. Well, earlier this week, President Cyril Ramaphosa promised that there'll be a series of announcements about our electricity crisis in the next few days. For the moment, there's no indication yet of therefore when that announcement will happen, although the presidency has reiterated today that that announcement will happen. It all comes as you've been living through the most intense load shedding we've had since the current load shedding system, get my words right, current load shedding system was actually implemented. Well, one organisation had a meeting with the Minister of Public Enterprises about this. Rev Moss Ntlha is from the group Defend Our Democracy. Father Ntlha, good afternoon to you. As I understand it, you met with the Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan, I think, on Tuesday. What message did you take to the Minister?
Well, you'll remember, Stephen, that a couple of weeks ago the Defend Our Democracy campaign had a national consultation that was representative of many civil society organizations, all of whom, in one voice, basically said enough is enough with this load shedding and all of the challenges that brings with regards to not only the health situation in hospitals, but also in businesses that are having to retrench in some moments, but also especially among the poor, that they get to bear the brunt of this load shedding. And so all of that was communicated to the minister to say, here's what people are feeling and really what is being expected, and especially now that we hear that the president's going to be speaking to the nation, to have some credible plan about how this can be put behind us.
What kind of plan do you think we should follow? I mean, what kind of response do you think government needs here?
Well, a couple of things, Stephen. The first one is that I think South Africans know the damage that's been done to public institutions. The State Capture Commission did clarify to a large extent what is the state of play in numerous SOEs, including ESCOM. And so what we're looking for is not some fantastic ideas that will not resolve this issue. What we're looking for is a plan that has deliverables, that we can hold somebody accountable if those deliverables do not materialize. And it has to be something doable, something fundable. The minister did tell us, for example, about the constraints within which ESCOM works with regards to the outputs that are expected to be this high, and they are way short of that. The skills levels that ought to be more experienced than they are, but they are not. And so all of those constraints taken together, I think we should still be able to have a doable plan that the minister, hopefully the president, can share with the nation and say, here's what we are able to do, and here's how you can keep us accountable to delivering on that. And so that's all what we want.
There are many people who say the way to fix it is to have more renewable energy, to have it come from independent power producers. There are other ways to do it. There's some people who say we should have gas, we should use more coal, we should keep it all in government. Do you have any directions you would prefer that we follow in terms of how we fix this?
Correct, yeah. I think there were numerous voices that spoke to this issue, that part of what has hampered the delivery of energy has been the fact that there's red tape that hinders particularly the independent power producers that would like to contribute to the grid, and that ought to be done away with to the degree possible. We don't want a free-for-all type of thing, but some minimal red tape that could allow for independent players to come into the scene. And indeed, the renewable energy is obviously our preferred route. We do not want in a hurry to solve this problem, find ourselves in unsustainable solutions with regard to our climate and so on. So all of those things, those constraints put together, I think we still should be able to have a plan that everybody can live with.
I wonder, Father Ntlha, how you feel about this, but let me make a comment and see if you agree or not. It seems to me, and I realize that journalists always want action now, and I'm very aware that that's how we are, but it seems to me, and if you look at Twitter, if you listen to talk radio, if you just listen to people on the street, I think there's a frustration with the lack of urgency from government. I mean, we have, stage 4, stage 5, stage 6 load shedding, and nothing seems to happen. It doesn't seem to matter to government. The energy minister's been virtually silent. He's given one interview I know of, and no more. I mean, do you think government gets it? I think people are worried about the silence from government.
Correct. That's also one of the things that we appeal to the minister, for, that there ought to be a way in which this is handled with the urgency that it deserves. We are familiar with how matters that are urgent are handled in government, and the COVID pandemic is one such a crisis that had the health minister at the time basically almost daily coming on public media and saying, here's where we are with this pandemic, and here's what we're doing about it, and here are the challenges and the constraints we're working with. And so that sort of transparency, radical transparency that helps generate the requisite trust that we need. I think a lot of the people on the ground feel we don't have sufficient trust on those who say they will do something, that they will do it. And that can't go away unless there is a radical communication and transparency about how all of this is made to work. I think South Africans they don't expect miracles. They know we're in bad shape with regard to the way that our public institutions have been vandalized and sabotaged. And so the issue is, can we come to a doable plan, even if they were told load shedding will end in X number of months, for example, at least everybody knows to tighten their belt until then. But if we are not told believable programs of actions, then it almost leads to more despair, more mistrust. And then you add to that the corruption that happens even under those conditions. Then you just have a hopelessness seeping into the population.
I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much indeed, the Rev Moss Ntlha from the Defend Our Democracy